Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Connecticut at your service. My name is Carmen Nieves, and I am your host, and we come to you live each Tuesday where we feature individuals that are not only running businesses, but are subject matter experts looking to educate, entertain, and engage. And today is no exception. As you'll see on the prompt, our guest today is Tracey Sarpong. And she is a relationship expert, and she is a dynamic speaker, relationship expert, connection curator, which I love that word, specializing in dating relationships with roots in New Jersey and a heritage from Ghana, West Africa. Tracey brings a rich cultural perspective to her work. She is creative-minded. She is the creative mind behind Going Steady card game, an innovative icebreaker designed to spark meaningful connections. And she also has a podcast. And she is an MC, and she captivates the audiences with her sharp wit, deep understanding of human interactions, known for her natural conversations, and prowess. She is seamless at blending humor, insight, and empathy, making her a sought-out voice in the relationship world. Wow, was that a mouthful or what? I have to say, Tracey, thank you so much for being with me today. We met at the mayor's office at the Small Business and Minority Business Expo, and you were selling some cards. And I was like, what is that? And I just was mesmerized. I was like, I definitely have to have you on the show. So tell me a little bit about kind of like your work, and then how did you end up starting the cards? Because I took out questions. We have questions that I'm just so excited.
Okay, so we spoke a little bit behind the scenes, but essentially the card game came from my business that I began in 2020, and I knew I had a love for dating and relationships. I just wasn't sure how I could package it as a product. So let's just kind of go way back. So basically, when I was younger, middle school, high school, I was always so curious about dating and relationships, about getting it right, making sure I didn't make mistakes, making sure that I, dated properly. And so at that time, which was like 2005, I'm like, well, you can't like make a business out of it, but it was something that was so near and dear to me. And so fast forward to 2020, right before COVID hit, I decided to start a podcast. And the podcast began because before that, I would literally send my friends audio messages that were like 10 or 15 minutes, and we were talking about dating and relationships, right? So I'm like, okay. So I began my business, and then about maybe 2 years later, I'm like, well, what can I do? Like, what can I do to help people not make the mistakes I've made, and to kind of just be successful in dating? And so that birthed out the Going Steady card game. And this is a dating and relationship card game, essentially. That's what it began as. And it's a conversation starter, and it's an icebreaker. And one of the issues that I had in dating was that you're attracted to the person, you like them, you deal with them. However, you're not asking the right questions. And asking the right questions allows you to now be able to decide, is this the right person? So that is what birthed the Going Steady card game.
When we were talking behind the scenes and I was listening to you talk, and you said, this is about helping people date right.
Yes.
And I was like, you in relationships in general, you take a chance.
Right.
I've been married for 38 years with my husband, Victor.
Congratulations.
And I will tell you, sometimes you just don't know. We started off as friends.
Okay.
And I always say to him, I would love you even if we weren't together, because he's just such a good, kind-hearted person. But it's taken 38 years to build to that.
Right.
What is some of your kind of like, one of your cards says, do you date someone who you're not physically attracted to? And that's like a loaded question. I don't know how far you want to go into that, but I just think that I have dated individuals that I thought were gorgeous. Okay. And then when you get to know them, you're like, yo, dude, you is ugly. You is ugly on the inside.
Yes,
and then there's people like my husband that, we start off as friends, we get a chance to know each other, he's an amazing father and all that. But I think that takes time to build. So what is your starters?
Right. So I think that I was told when I was younger that don't marry for love. And I'm like, that is so weird. Like, what does that mean? But as I got older, I began to understand that relationships, it's like a wide range of things that you have to look at in order for you to make a decision to be with someone. First of all, I believe you should date with a purpose. Don't just date to date and just to get experience because you're wasting your time. But essentially, like I said, with the card game, it's kind of like, besides the looks, what do you have to offer, right? What is your character like? What is your demeanor like? What are your goals like? Do we align? And that's kind of what I was trying to get at. And I think, like I said, though it's a fun game, at the end of the day, these questions will allow you, because basically if you ask a question, right, it allows people to kind of keep on going. So if I say, who should pay for the first date, which is one of the questions, that leads other people to start giving examples of people they have dated, examples of what they think, how they feel, and those things open up because we wouldn't normally have these conversations. And when they open up, you get to learn more about the person. And essentially, as you said, you and your husband are friends. Friendship is number one. You need to be friends. You need to like them for who they are. But like I said, this is a stepping stone where you're able to actually see who they are. So.
And just over time, you just develop who you're, when people really care about each other, they kind of give and mold into like, I see what you need or what you bring and how I can kind of like, kind of mesh with that. But since you said it, what have people told you about who pays on the first date?
So,
what have people shared with you? Because I'd be interested. Honey, pay attention.
So usually, so when I go to a vending, like when I'm selling my cards out, I usually put some cards out to grab people's attention, and that's always one of the ones that I use. And you get a wide range of answers, essentially, but that's what allows you to know who the person is. I've had people say that the man should pay. I've had people say that everyone pay for themselves. I've had people say that whoever asked for the date should pay. And then I've heard the woman, I've heard different things. And so for me, I personally feel that whoever asks for the date should pay. But I have had some men say that even if a woman asks me, I'll accept it, but I won't allow her to pay. And then you have some people, I met one guy, he was really cheap. And he was just like, well, yeah, if she wants to pay, that's fine. So it just really depends. But you get to know who you're dealing with. You get what I'm saying? So that's really, and it's a fun way, and it opens up opens up the communication.
Now, before we went on the show, I was telling you, I want to book you to do a fundraiser for us. And I think that this is going to be like a girls' night. Because I just think that this is such a great conversation. And I think that I just want to get into some of the questions. Okay. It's so bad, but I don't want to do that yet. I know that you said that you're like an MC, so, and you have, so tell me, it's not just a relationship card, right?
Yes.
What is this one?
Okay, so I have the For the Culture card game, and this is my newest card game, and this is essentially for, so I'm from Ghana, West Africa, and this is for the diaspora. It's for people who basically were born in other countries or their families are from other countries, and it's kind of like a nostalgic type of thing. And so it just kind of talks about like what happens if you come in your house and you don't greet your parents, things like that, or, questions about the elders of the family, or just, just things that like, if you take the meat out of the pot, like just anything that is nostalgic to Africans and Caribbeans and people like that. So it's a fun game that's just kind of like, for people from like other countries.
I think that I think this is something you probably want to expand on, because I feel like other cultures, people think if you, whatever the man says goes, and then they come here, and women are very independent here, so cultural. I see some expansion there.
Yeah.
And then how about this one?
Okay, so this is Bible trivia. So I love like Bible study at my church. I love the Lord, and essentially this is a fun way for you to kind of get to know the Bible, and then also have conversations and kind of talk to your friends and family and whoever you're doing it with. I actually played it recently with my mother and my brother, and it was just a good time for us to kind of just learn and open up and more about the Word of God. So.
And then this one?
All right, so this one is the second edition to the first edition, and these are what I actually began with, and they're dating and relationship cards, essentially. I've played them at bridal showers. I've had people give them as gifts to their bridal party. I've played them at cookouts. I've played them at functions that I've hosted. I've played them at birthday parties. Like literally any and everything, we've played that game.
Now, I was asking you because before the show, and how just you were calling out things, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, But you, by trade,
Yes.
are not
A
a therapist, right?
No.
Because this feels like therapy, but it's not therapy.
It's therapy in a box, okay?
It's therapy in a box.
Yes.
And you said that your major was communication. And I
Yes.
think that in relationships, that's probably the biggest thing. You
Right.
know, how do we communicate?
Right.
You know, is what I said what you heard? And
Right.
sometimes that's not what it is.
Yes.
So, and you, over time, you've developed that with a lot of input from your
Right,
friends,
right.
people you know.
Yes.
And you do go everywhere, right? From
Yes.
churches to, so how
Yeah.
does somebody reach you to be like, Tracey, I need you to come and give our friends some relationship advice?
I mean, they can literally, my information's on the screen. They can email me at traceysarpong@gmail.com. They can reach me on Instagram. I believe the information's on the screen, you know, and then reach out to me and we can discuss from there. And, you know, I'm more than willing. Anything that allows people to connect, I'm literally your person.
Listen, when I got your website to get the information to put it on for today, I saw your website and I'm like, I want to sign up. Because I just think that anything that creates the opportunity to have conversation is engaging about whatever.
Yeah.
Relationships is a big thing because I think the right partner makes all the difference in the
does.
world.
It does.
And you don't have to be the same. You don't have to agree. God
Yes.
knows my husband and I don't always agree. But it's somebody that you know that you can count on and
Right.
just is going to be a good father. And it's
Right.
just, so some things you can't put a price tag on,
Right.
and people just become
Yeah.
the most beautiful thing you've ever seen
Yeah.
just because, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm gonna start off with one of these questions.
Okay, so you want me to answer them? Or?
I
Okay.
want you. Well, I don't want you to for
Okay.
you to, but
Okay.
I would love to share with the audience.
Okay.
What are you hearing from people?
Okay.
When we say the question,
Okay.
right? Have you ever looked back at someone you used to date and wondered, were you temporarily insane? Give some examples of that, because I will tell you, I know a lot of people that fit into that category.
Yeah, so I think that we've all, you know, throughout the years, we've dated someone. Some people have been engaged. We've been married to people. And it's like, you know, it's more of a looking back at where you came from and see how far you came from to where you are now. And then people just kind of discuss, like, you know, yeah, I dated this person. He had no drive. He had no ambition. He wasn't going anywhere. I tried to save him. It did, you know, I wasted my time. I put in my efforts for no reason. So, you know, it was that kind of thing that I got for answers for that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, and it could really be anything at some point.
could.
I mean, have you ever watched that show, 90 Day Fiancé?
I've seen a little bit of it, yes.
So one of your cards says, how soon should you start sharing personal things, right?
Yes.
And there was, I think it was Married at First Sight. Do you ever seen that one?
I've seen like a little bit of clips like on TikTok.
So Married at First Sight is a show where people don't meet till they get to the altar.
Okay.
And in one situation, the guy was like living in his parents' like basement,
Oh, no.
and his new wife was really turned off by that.
Wow,
So
wow.
throughout the whole show, there was like this topic about how soon do you start telling everything?
Okay.
And then the back and forth was, well, if it was in a different relationship where we weren't rushed, like the day we met, we got married.
Right,
There
right.
would be time to talk about
Exactly.
that. Right? But because you got married, it's like you want to just put everything out on the table.
Right.
But what have you heard? Because that is one of your questions.
Okay, so I think with that question, it came from, I guess people basically, they meet today and they're love bombing the person. They're telling them everything about their life on the first date. So that's pretty much what the question was. But of course, we have people who have some really heavy past and some really, you know, they've been abused, they've been molested, whatever it may be. And so this is like, when is too soon and when is too late? And so I've had people
Oh,
say
wow,
like maybe
too
like,
late.
yeah, like I've heard people say like, oh, like 3 dates in. Some say when they get engaged. Some say like when you really feel comfortable. So it really depends. But yeah, that's kind of what the question was for.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I love how you talk about, because everybody says, you know, you told me too soon, but then the other side of that is like,
You waited too long.
You waited too long
Yeah.
to tell me you got bad credit.
Yeah, no,
you
it's
know what I
true,
mean? Like we
yeah.
won't be able to like move forward, and it's like, or like you're sick or you can't sleep or
Yeah.
there's mental health, and there's so many different levels of mental health.
Yes.
That just
Yes, that's one of the questions. We talk about like if you have like depression or like any type of mental illness, how soon should you tell your partner? You know, because I feel like there are certain things that the other party would like to know in order to make a specific decision about what they want to do with you. And so it can get to a point of being unfair if you hold out too long. And so that's essentially what that was. Yeah.
which is kind of like a balancing thing, because it could also be, you know, if I tell this person, am I gonna shoo
Scare
them
them off.
away?
Yeah.
Or do I tell them early because now they'll know when that it's me and not them?
Yeah.
You know, this is such, we could go on with this for a while.
Like when we play the game, depending on what setting I'm in or when people send me footage, it can be funny, it can make people upset. It can get serious, you know, like you see, depending on who is playing and what they're trying to gather, it can be a lot
and
of
who
things.
they know and be like,
Yeah.
oh, I know you're like whatever.
Right.
And
It
then
can
they're
be a
gonna
lot of
start
different
to
things.
say.
Yeah.
I just want to remind our viewers that you can call in and ask Tracey a question. I could pick a random card. You can kind of like, maybe you want to see if she has a question she wants to add to her deck. So here's one of the things we talked about, that in relationships, we could go on all day, mind
Yes,
you, okay?
yes.
Because this is so great. We talked about, people often say, what are the red flags? And one of your cards actually says, what are the green flags to pay attention to, right?
Yes.
Those things that you're like, you know what, this person is not perfect, but they got this.
Yes, yes. So that question kind of came about because I feel like we focus on the negative so much, and we want to know what we need to look out for. But sometimes I'll use women for an example. You have a good guy in front of you, and it's like you don't realize it because you're so focused on the things that you don't like. But as we spoke about behind the scenes, you know, how does he treat you? How does he make you feel? How does he communicate with you? You know, how does he resolve problems? Does he pay when he goes out with you? You know, things that are actually important. So that is what the green flags portion is, like for you to realize that this man may not be as bad as you think. Maybe he's not 6 foot tall, which a lot of women want, you know, but
They think they want.
they think they want, but then it's like if you have a guy
And
that
you
is,
got to keep like hugging them and dancing with them. You can't reach them.
or he's not a good guy, you know. So what if he's 5'8", but he does things, he checks off every box of what you want. So essentially that's what it was as far as the green flags are concerned.
And I think that that's really important, because so often, and especially now, since COVID, because
Yes.
people are like, one, not really truthful about who they are, right? Or, you know, they're not telling you enough, or like, people get scammed all the time
Yes,
online. I
yes,
don't know
yes.
what you call that, but it's
Yeah.
like the person that was in that picture that was
Yeah.
talking is not the person
The
that was talking.
catfish, the catfish, yes,
the catfish. I
yes.
watched that show too.
Yeah, I used to watch that.
But that's really important, and I think that if we can condition ourselves, not only to give people a chance, and I think that's in community, relationship,
Right,
cultures,
friendships, yeah.
right? Your explore different cultures
Yeah.
and things like that. I think that would be really great.
Yes.
And I love when you talked about, let's look at the green.
Yeah,
You know,
the
that
positive.
So let's step back a little bit.
Okay.
So tell me a little bit about just how people have reacted to. So you said where you did your events,
Yes.
and kind of like some of the questions and some of the things they evoke. What have people said after your event?
So, for instance, there was a cookout, right? And I think with the cookout, most people didn't know each other. And what ended up happening was it was male against female. The guys banded together, the women came together, and everybody was kind of going back and forth. But at the end of the day, I remember that particular event, they didn't know I created the card game. So when they found out, they were like, wow, like this is such a good idea. This is such a fun thing to do. And literally, like I said, it brings people together, especially in situations where people may not know each other. You know,
Yeah.
awkward birthday dinners where you know the celebrant, but you don't know each other. So yeah, essentially that's.
And I love that, how relationships and just fun ways to have people have conversation. And when you do that in like a group, it's funny.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yep,
this
yep.
one says, how do you prepare for a date? This one says first date, but it could
Yes.
be any date.
It could be any
right?
date, yeah.
Mentally, physically, and emotionally.
Yeah.
This card in particular says
Okay.
first date.
Okay.
So let's talk about what you've heard some people say, like this was my experience and this is how I had to like get ready.
Okay. And I just also want to say too, with the cards, the questions are kind of open, right? You can literally mix and match. You can add your own, whatever. It's just kind of like, it's a starter. And you can literally change it up how you want to. But for that, I've had people say like they went to therapy. Maybe their last relationships were not good. And so how they prepared was they went to a therapist to kind of figure out what is wrong with them. Why are they picking the same men over and over and over? I've had some people physically, they want to lose weight before they go on a date. Emotionally, like they wait till they get over their ex. So it's different things, how people prepare. And yeah, that's pretty much what
I love
heard.
that. I mean, just trying to figure out like spaces in between relationships
Yeah.
and, trying to be better, or
Yeah.
just, emotionally kind of like, am I all the way here? I just think that these are really great. And then this one says, when should you discuss your non-negotiables with, this is almost like, am I telling you too soon? Like,
Yeah.
my non-negotiables to a potential partner.
Okay, so with that question, it depends on what the non-negotiable is. I don't think that you should meet someone today, go on a date today, and be like, "Hey, sir, this," because you're not their teacher, you're not their mother. So I don't think it should be that soon. But I think that you should give them a chance to be themselves and kind of see, the things that they do, and then, begin to have conversations about, okay, I don't like when people do this, and, this is a deal breaker for me. Like, I think that everything is with communication. Everything, it doesn't have to end negatively, but it can end in a way where you've both communicated and it just doesn't work out, and you can go away peacefully. Everyone doesn't have to be your enemy when you guys, stop dating.
Yeah,
So,
stop dating
yeah.
or talking. And I've known people that once they stop dating,
Yeah.
they still remain friends.
Yes, yes.
I think that that's less, but it is. And I think that when people understood where they were and something didn't work or
Yes.
something like that. So are you the only one that facilitates? Or like, do you have like a team? Like, let's say somebody wanted to do it in Spanish. Like, do you train people to help you or like to do their own thing, or you're the deal?
So right now I'm the deal, and then of course whoever purchases it, they can play it at their events and stuff. However, I have been invited to like Housatonic College, and they had a Valentine's Day event, and they had me facilitate, the game, and then to talk with the students and things like that. So I have been invited places where they will have me kind of facilitate it. I've been invited to a women's fellowship group where they had me talk to the women about my dating experiences and things like that. So yeah. It's, as of now, it's me, but
Okay.
we'll see what.
Well, I see things. I see other cultures for sure. I definitely see something in other languages that might be something.
Yeah.
And then just kind of like you having like people that do these for you, or like I just think that this is so great an opportunity. So what's next for the relationship card game and you?
Okay, so I am planning to have my first event. Essentially, like I said, my goal is the connection. Like I want people to come together. So I'm looking at maybe a dating mixer, but I also do want people who are dating to come. And I've been planning to do like a large game night at some point. So like a game night mixed with a mixer, food and game, and just kind of just a time where people can actually feel like there's no stress. We're here to enjoy ourselves, and we can be ourselves and potentially meet people, who are like-minded and just have a good time. So that's in the works for me. And then as far as the games, I mean, it's endless. I have so many, drafts of things I'm looking to do. And, very soon, we're getting them into, it's in one retail store right now in New Jersey. So, yeah.
So can people find out information about you, your events? How do people find out
About
more about the game, the card game, or anything like that?
I mean, they can visit the website, of course, and they can get information. Can I say the website name? Or?
You can absolutely say the
Okay,
website.
so it's on the screen, but it's goingsteadycardgame.com. They can follow me on social media. I'll always have updates about events that I'm doing, and they can follow the card game as well, which is Going Steady Card Game on Instagram. And essentially, that's how they'll be able to get updates about everything.
Do people that kind of use the cards? Do they send you pictures and things like that
Oh,
to
yeah.
show you where they are?
They sent me, so on my
and what they
Instagram,
do?
I have over 200 videos, and essentially a lot of them are from people who have shared footage where they played the games, you know, with their friends, at family gatherings, at date nights, and stuff like that. So yeah, and I love to see it. So if you have any videos, please send them to me.
So I would love to just, again, tell us a little bit about kind of like, these are the card games that you could get them. They're for like relationships and just really thinking about, you know, what's next for the community. So is it just through your website they
Yes.
can book you?
Oh, yes, yes. So
Okay.
you can, I mean, basically, so you have my email. My email is how they're able to book me, because I have to first know what is it that you're looking to do and can I assist you with that. But that's how you can reach me initially to get my contact information, and then we can kind of go from there.
Oh, that's
and then,
amazing.
yeah, and then also, like I said, you can get the card game if you want to. I know recently a woman used it for, in DC, she has a cake and sip type thing where you cake decorate, and they had
Oh,
a
how
couples, yeah, they had a
awesome.
couples event, and she used the card games to give each of the couples after the event. So I've had people use it for all sorts of
I
things.
like the cake and decorate. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you've been, since COVID, so you've
Yes.
been doing this for over 5 years.
So the business, yes. The card game, no.
Okay.
Yes.
And so how long have you been doing the card game events?
It will be 2 years, April 29th.
Okay.
Yes.
So what is you've met a lot of people. For you to have 200 people just sending you videos, you've interacted with a lot of people.
Yes.
What are some key, outside of this, just from your own experience,
Yes.
what might be some tips for dating or some recommendations?
Okay, so, okay, I think that first and foremost, I think that people need to go out, right? I think that people are looking for Mr. or Mrs. Right, and they don't leave the house at all. Like, you want them to break in at night and just say, marry me, you know? So I think that people need to go out, and when you go out, I think people need to be open. Your body language needs to be open. It needs to be friendly, you know? It doesn't hurt to smile and say hello, you know? But I think that that's pretty much it. And then I think people need to be themselves. Sometimes people they want to be someone else. So like they don't feel comfortable in their own skin. And so when you meet the person, like, you can't genuinely be free. And I think that's just what it is. It's kind of like you said, you and your husband, you met as friends. What you're looking for first, you're not looking for a boyfriend or a girlfriend right away. You're looking for a friend. You're looking for someone that you can relate to,
He
someone
was
that
like my hero.
you see?
You know, getting me away from like bad relationships or
see?
like
But-
people that just didn't treat me right. And he was
Yeah.
like, "Come on, hang out with me," and it was just,
And that's
he
it.
just became such an amazing, amazing person.
And he allowed you to be who you are. So I think that that's pretty much what it is, like being yourself, going out, knowing that it takes effort, you know, especially in this day and age where there's so much online dating and people don't have to do anything, you know. So if you want to go out and about and meet someone, I think you have to definitely showcase who you really are and be like, you know, and don't only go out to meet someone, go out to have a good time. And while you're having a good time, I believe that attracts the person. And yeah.
I think what I love about kind of what you do is that not only can you bring what you do, your creativity, your game to them, but they can also come to you. And if they go on your website and see what events there are, because a lot of that is like, I don't want to go by myself. I will tell you, I am such a non-social person. I
Okay.
work and I'm home.
Yes.
And my husband is the same. We work and we go home
Yes.
on different things. So I think that I love what you said about people just have to go out. I love to try different things.
Yes.
If you want to be in a relationship, you can't be all that.
Yeah.
You know, you still have to have you,
Yes.
them, and together.
Yes.
You know, so remind us again one more time, how do we reach you?
So you can reach me on Instagram, the official Tracey Sarpong, or the card games page at Going Steady Card Game, and also at the website goingsteadycardgame.com. And then something that you mentioned that is actually really good. I am gonna start doing events in the local area that are gonna be like little mixers with restaurants.
You're gonna start with me.
Okay, there
We're
we
gonna
go.
start with me.
Yeah.
I said it. Make sure that you're following me, you're following her, because we're gonna do it.
Yes.
So I wanna thank you guys again for tuning in to Connecticut at your service. We were here with Tracey. Here's her contact information one more time. She is a speaker, a host, and a connection curator. We'll see you next week.